Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Mind Warped, Righteous Force, Flatzoid and Chocolate Sane in G+. Very good to have you all.
Good morning.
Good day.
Good morning.
Good afternoon. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Have you got a loogie, Nathan? You sound like you've
Good morning.
got a bit of a chest eating.
I'm alright, I'll live. We're also joined by a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome to everyone in Discord.
Hello.
G'day.
Good day. How's it going?
You can always speak the Aussie, eh?
Going well.
G'day.
Good, thanks.
So, we've been covering the various different housekeeping questions over the course of the last week. So today being Friday, next week we'll pick it up again. But so far we've covered physical edges of spheres, actual Earth curvature, axial rotation, gravity, and today, I don't know, what do you reckon? Should we cover the distance to the Sun?
Woohoo!
Sure.
So let's ask the question first and foremost. Any evidence of the distance to the Sun?
No.
No, everything would just be assumption.
Okay. Hey Owen, how's it going?
Well, they
Hi,
assumed
Owen.
that the Earth was moving millions of miles in space as the baseline of the triangle. If you use another method, just using the rays of the sun and where they touch the Earth, you get a distance no greater than 3,000 to 10,000 miles away. So it really just varies depending on your method and your assumptions.
Absolutely. So there's
How
quite
would
a
you
few assumptions.
verify what the sun actually is?
Yeah, we're not going to get into that
Uh,
because none of us have the answer to that. But in terms of what we're told, we're given a very specific distance. So how do they calculate that distance? Is everyone on the panel aware of how they actually come to the distance currently for the Sun?
Sticks.
No, that's yeah, kind of. That's one of the processes to get the radius for Earth.
Points.
Go on.
Sticks and stones can break
Triangulation.
your bones, but
Didn't they
can't
make an
move your-
assumption
Just one at a
that
time.
the ball that
Hello,
Go on. Whoever, just one at a time.
can I say my
Well,
thing?
well, didn't they assume that Earth was a ball first, and then assume that it was the same size as Venus, which they also assumed was a ball?
Yes, that's the basic long and short of the assumption. So with an application of Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion, the transit of Venus with the assumption that it's the same size as the R value derived by assuming Earth is a sphere and then getting a radius value. So yeah, that's the long and short of it.
Can I add a saying to that?
Sure, go ahead.
Sticks and stones can break your bones, but can't prove the Earth's a globe.
Yeah, that requires an assumption. So shout out to Colin
Can I
Turner. You can think of the Sun as having a distance. Yeah, as Lemonbird said, with a few assumptions and yeah, bit of spherical maths, you can put it at whatever distance you like, and it's changing as well. You can vary some of those assumptions and obviously change the distances. The problem with the distances, and I think this was covered by Globebusters first and foremost, was when you have these absolutely enormous distances, you then end up with a necessity to increase the size of those bodies exponentially. So you end up with these absolutely ginormous stars to compensate for the fact that they're at these vast distances based on their assumptions. So there you go. There's the
One
distance.
question.
Go ahead.
One question. Are right angles straight or curved?
Well, if you assume an R value, then you've got to curve something at some point. Well, that was quick.
Yeah. And you're not going to get Globus to try and prove the sun either.
It's just, like I say, that's the long and short of the string of assumptions that you get. So it's not necessarily the most debated about subject on the show, because it's fairly concise to debunk it in terms of the assumptions that are needed to be made in R they trust. That's it.
Well, if you can't verify the distance because, say, there's a firmament in the way or some sort of barrier that NASA's, not telling us about, well, then the only thing that would be left would be assumptions and theories. The thing is, you need to watch when the theories fall apart and become untenable. Especially if we're seeing, local rays that doesn't jibe with millions and millions of miles away. When those assumptions fall apart, they need to make new assumptions that are a bit more consistent with reality at the very least.
Indeed.
Anybody see me on Ranties yesterday?
I saw you debating with a non-moto, if that's what you're talking about.
Yep. And after that with Brenda, a bit.
I didn't see that.
So
Sorry.
debating is a big word concerning her.
Give us the lowdown.
I've been around. Haven't been here for a while, so she's still hanging around, is she?
Oh God, yes. Unfortunately, it's very.
You don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to know what she thinks about apples.
Bro, yesterday
I don't
she
want to
said
know anything that
that
she has to say.
the reason Newton's apple falls down is because the ground is in the apple's future.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
Last time I heard of her, she was saying, "Oh, every single time I come on and have talk to you flat earthers, I win every single debate. I win every single debate." I'm like, yeah, right. No,
yeah,
you
that's
don't.
that's still very much a track on her stuck record.
Yeah, like she legit
All she
thought
does
that.
is win, 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 no matter
Okay.
what.
I'll let you think that. It's fine.
Don't worry. She
Well,
thinks
the
there's
only
two
thing about
Orions now.
time is you. Only thing about time is you can't go up and down the length of time like you can go up and down the length of a physical thing like a car. It's not physical, it's a one directional. If it is anything at all beyond a concept, it only appears to flow in one direction. Therefore, you can't really graph it along with other physical things.
It doesn't have a direction.
Yeah, I'll give credit to Bible literalist Paula. She said you can't travel a concept. Very well put.
It reduces down to a metaphysical materialism, an attempt to make everything in reality, including concepts, material. Next, they'll be graphing love, feelings, emotions, the mind. They'll be trying to make a material out of everything that's non-material.
Sounds like the Matrix.
Pretty much. Dialectic materialism.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of things that have happened with exoteric religions, where they basically turn everything into a god, like the multiple icon type of religion. And it's kind of almost the same way. Instead, the religion turns everything into a part of their religion, and these physics try to turn everything into material, even concepts.
That is true. They already have gravity, which is allowed to be self-referential. What accumulates gravity? Mass. What accumulates, mass? Gravity. It's circular. And it's a very godlike force. It's the one miracle they need for their materialism to be somewhat intelligible.
Yeah, they need the entire existence to have come out of nothing. So you're going to have a certain nihilistic person that's going to very much enjoy that idea and reifying it into existence for exactly the reasons you've given. It makes the person who's doing it seem, maybe in their own mind or to other people below them, like gods. And doesn't that sound just so appealing?
Indeed.
How appealing.
Yeah, but they're not. They're just
No, I know.
blokes and women, flesh and blood, same as all of us.
So there's no Globus
It's ironic that the materialists still need a miracle, a singularity, something to kind of break their rules just once to,
Oh, the irony.
to establish their.
Well, if you
Everything
don't call
breaks
it a
their
miracle,
rules.
it's not a miracle.
Despite the fact that it breaks the rules of their system totally, a miracle usually just breaks the normal rules of how things operate.
But if you invent a new word for it, then it's not a miracle.
Miracle versus singularity. It's a singularity.
Yeah, the first law of
Hey,
thermodynamics completely screws that idea.
Singularity is pretty sure it's a concept.
If
Hey,
the birth,
chocolate.
if the birth of existence came out of nature, and nature is governed by natural law, then everything can't have been born out of nature. It violates the first law of thermodynamics. So you have to have an external entity, even within their own rules. So, for me, the first law of thermodynamics is the single thing that points squarely at a creator, because their rules don't have the facility to create anything. So what are you left with? It's the ontological primitives, basically. Shout out to Matthew Stevenson. A miracle is the suspension of natural order. Hey, I like that.
Hey, Tam, if you were calling me.
Yeah, I was. What was that quote of Brenda with the future of the apple?
She said the reason the apple falls is because the ground is in the apple's future.
So my question is, hang on. So my question is, how does it end up in my apple pie?
She's not a very good future
no, I've got an
fortune
answer.
teller.
Did she really say that?
No.
Did she really say that?
She just said that
Guys,
yesterday.
there's a logical answer
Really?
to that within their rhetoric. The
That's
apple.
the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Ah, thanks. That's really useful. While I'm trying to explain that it does have a coherent explanation within the heliocentric rhetoric. The apple followed its geodesic line to your pie. Obviously, your pie was in the apple's future.
Is that why they called that pie?
Chocolate was the actual distance between the apple and the floor.
It's a pretty bad analogy.
I don't know, man. You would have to ask Brenda. That's crazy. But then she completely conceded that concepts don't do anything. So I don't know where you go from there.
Well, you're going nowhere. You're gonna stay in your head.
Yeah,
And when you just thought they couldn't say anything dumber, they do.
they want their way of thinking about things to have an effect on the world. It's just crazy. You point that out to them.
But what's great.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I was just going to say that you point that out to them and they just start lying to themselves. So they'll define how space-time is a concept, how it will be described mathematically, and how it is describing something that happens in actuality. But then when you point out to them that that concept can't cause anything, they'll then tell you that it's not a concept anymore. So they'll just lie to themselves because their own religion doesn't make any sense when you break it down for them. So they just have to lie to themselves. It's quite sad. Shouldn't have to lie for an explanation in regards to how reality works. Shouldn't need to lie about it, but they do, and they have to lie to themselves, which is why I keep saying that from the other side of the fence in this debate, it's got to be quite cognitively painful being challenged by us, and none of us are stressed out about it. You know, obviously we have our heated moments in debate, but I don't know about any of you guys, I can only speak for myself, but I don't leave this debate going, oh no, what about this aspect of flat earth not being proven yet? I don't do that at all, or give a great deal of consideration to the conversations after they've ended. But I'm pretty certain by some of the adverts I get from other videographers that it's very troubling for them. And it shows.
Arwen, did you see the citation I put in Master B?
Sorry?
Did you see the citation I put in Master B? But
Which
you'd
one?
like the one with this about the slanted optics.
Slanted optics? What? Where? When was that? That's
The
so.
direct manipulation of perspective.
I don't see the quote.
But while you figure that one out, hey, Nathan, that picture that Ranty showed yesterday of the platform, Hill House, the first one, in the Black Swan image,
Yeah.
he narrowed in and zoomed in on the shadows that the platform on the edges caused on the water directly under it.
Yeah, that's a useful thing to highlight, but then not dwell on, because the argument's
No,
about
I
the
agree.
horizon. So it's one of them. I heard a new guy who I had not heard before. I say he's not heard before. I think he's been on the debate, but he's not he's not constantly around. Irish chap that was on Ranty's show, and he was trying to highlight that, and it got acknowledged once, but then he kept bringing it up, and it was making me cringe because I'm thinking, the more you focus on that particular aspect of the photo, which isn't key to the argument, the more they'll just want to focus on it and try and explain that particular aspect. Oh yeah, well, the land and the shadows all being loomed, or whatever they explain it with, it doesn't matter. And yeah, it's interesting. It points that there is no horizon in front of it, but beyond that, it's kind of, what else are you going to use that for? It's not integral to the actual modus tollens proof, is it?
Well, when QE says, look how much in the tizzy they went, because QE just said, even if it was 3 feet, 5 feet, 35 feet, it doesn't matter because it's still beyond where it should be. So they saying, well, he said it was 5 feet and you said it was 1 foot. And they used that to kind of convolute the whole argument when that wasn't what QE was saying. So I only use it for that point of view, so that even in the first platforms, which is 6.2 miles out, hey, sorry, buddy, the horizon can't be more than 1.23 miles. So you lose in every argument. And it's just a good one to have.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's worth discussing, because there's going to be people who are going to find the red herring angle in that image, because that's all they can do. So, there's going to be a whole string of red herrings. We've had at least a dozen already. So yeah, I'm not saying don't discuss it. I'm just saying that if you're the one actually punting that picture, that shouldn't be what you lead with. It's not the main crux of the argument. It might be something you have to deal with, or use as a defence if somebody else has brought something else up and in rebuttal, but it's not the main crux of the argument, is all I'm saying.
No, it isn't, but it's a good one when they say the horizon is in front. You say, where? That one picture with all the arrows. Here's the horizon.
Point out the horizon.
Yeah, point out the horizon in this picture when we only see one.
Yeah, I love all the pictures when I go on Discord and I see them talking about it, and I see all these pictures with arrows pointing at the cranes on the oil rig, and they're like, "Oh, look at this, Black Swan dead," because the cranes are a little bit, distorted. It's like, guys, again, the argument is the horizon way further back than it's supposed to be on your stupid little model.
No, but they have to obfuscate.
Of course they do, but I'm saying it's such a joke because they're sitting there putting arrows on it, pointing. Oh, look, guys, horizon. Why is it there?
I've yet to see them even try to answer the actual question.
Because they already know they can't. They've tried. They only have one answer, and that one answer doesn't even work for them. Their little looming nonsense. Come
And
on.
when you ask them what's looming, they can't tell you.
And when they do tell you, oh, so that doesn't work with what we're talking about then, huh? Okay.
So is it actual or not actual?
Is it live or is it Memorex?
Well, as Anik was saying yesterday, that truly the black swan image is truly a white swan image that's been painted black. So that's his new rhetoric.
It's been painted black. That's what he said. Really?
Yeah, but that means he's saying it's been doctored. Hold on, that's a defence that says this. It's akin to the CGI defence. No, this image is fake. Been painted that way.
Okay.
Painted.
He's
Well,
saying,
that can only be taken That can only be taken in metaphor one way. Altered, changed, doctored, painted.
Yep, that's why I laughed as soon as he said painted.
I just
Damn,
can't see.
Zanuck, that's a loss, brother. Sorry.
I just
We
can't
need
see
a CGI expert to
gosh,
analyze the footage.
Arwen. You have any decor, Arwen?
Go ahead, Timp Man.
No, let's.
Well,
that
either
makes sense
Black
anyway.
Swan and Black Swans exist, or White Swan painted black. Either it's proof of a Earth, or they're just going to say it's round, workaround for how round it is, even though it looks flat. Arwen, you were saying?
No, Temp Man was saying something.
I was just making a joke, that's all.
Silence, Legolas.
It's,
Why so serious?
I mean, there comes a fork in the road where you either work around a theory that isn't working, the round Earth in this case, or you just drop it and see, what's on the other side with other theories. Maybe it's time to look into the flat and come at this from a flat perspective. I mean, all the evidence is there, but it looks like it's been interpreted with a round Earth paradigm. Let's reinterpret the evidence with a flat Earth paradigm and see what we get.
There's very, very often very little interpretation to be had, though. So they take optical geometry, and that has started its life in a flat manner, so that they can then bend it at the various different angles that they bend it. Well, all of the manipulation comes after the fact to turn it into a sphere. So once you strip all that away, you're just left with flat. There's not a great deal to do. I'm smiling because I know this intrinsically. You got to work quite hard to turn the world we are living in into a sphere. So at the start of this journey, I'm like, this is a really quite magical, it's quite an intricate and clever magic trick. Because you've got to go some to change the flat world we live in to a sphere. It's not an easy task. But they've done it. My hat's off to them. But I can't last forever because of the amount of stuff you've actually got to do to accept that. Now, yeah, you can program people with it from birth so that they're kind of naturally doing it anyway. But it still requires a certain amount of cognitive processing. Now, we're in the debate. We don't just get to see that in a sort of background way, back of the mind kind of way. We see it right at the surface level. Yesterday with Brenda saying, well, the conceptual medium of space-time is real. Why? Well, because it doesn't work in your rhetoric of gravity doing things like it needs to in your model. That's been left as a kind of open-ended thing that's not quite resolved within the model yet. But we know it's incorrect, and we can point it out to them, and then they have to just lie to themselves, literally. That kind of, I'm happy and content to lie to myself, we get to show to people. But that's only because you've got to continue that process. You've got to work cognitively hard to be on a ball. It's a bloody relief, I've got to be honest. You come to Flat Earth and it's like taking off a really heavy pair of boots. Because you're like, bloody hell, it's a lot easier walking around without this cognitive nonsense going on. And you remind yourself of all the times you suppressed that when you were a kid. I remember spinning the bucket around and going, their explanation for gravity makes no sense, But there we go. I'll put that to the back of my mind. And once you get to the point that you're like, I don't need any of that nonsense anymore, the justifications for the doublespeak, you just relinquish it all and you go, whew, that's quite nice. This is a lot easier.
Yeah, that's why I think
love
it's
how
so easy for us to
simple
change our
reality
mindset.
Go on, Flat
I
Side,
concur 100%, Nathan. So simple, honestly. They've done a good job trying to turn this flat stationary world into a ball, but yeah, it's so simple when you realize it's not. It's like, okay. Sleep like a baby.
Just observe.
And the simplicity of reality is awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
Wait, look-
that feel that when Nathan was describing before, that feeling of not having any stress, because it's like we don't have to wake up like, oh my God, how are we going to prove this? How are we going to prove that? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Whereas they're
It's
going to
just
wake
like,
up.
oh, just
What
wake
we
up and
see,
go
we
outside.
just see, and it just is.
they have to wake up and go out and concern themselves with how they're going to bend their reality into their religious belief. And it doesn't matter if they've got all the arsenal in the world to change flat into a sphere. And then when we're like, oh no, we've just appreciated the obvious. And they go, no, listen to how we can program you back into programming flat that you observe and appreciate into sphere. And they argue with us about how to do that. And up until now, we've been arguing about, well, I just see that clock tower. I just see that oil rig. I just see that island. That's our argument's so basic. Their argument, as most people know my little rhetoric, is the slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena holographic projection of a clock tower from behind the reified Earth curve edge based on an R value and begging the question, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator means that clock tower that you think you can just see is actually a holographic projection that we call a mirage. Well, that's quite complex. And to understand that and argue it is far more difficult. Now, yeah, they've got all the tools to do it, and everyone around them's brainwashed to do it alongside them, no matter how stupid they are, even if they don't fully understand it. So they're a massive army that's telling you that 2 + 2 is 5, and we're sitting here just going, meh. But which is more stressful? I know which is more stressful. It's definitely believing you live on a sphere.
Yeah,
Glad
they're
it
trying
is.
to destroy your
like
confidence.
that.
in
We're
the
just sitting
obvious.
here like, yeah. That's great.
Yeah, they destroy people's confidence in the obvious.
And that's, why a lot of times these, religions spring up, because people fall in love with a portion of the truth, but they don't really fall in love with the whole truth. And, when you love, anything, a person or whatever, you look past. But the line in the sand, comes when the paradigm keeps you from making new observations and keeps you chained within one way of thinking, when there's a whole nother world outside of that, circularity. That's why the paradigm is important. The stories that we tell ourselves are important, because we wrap our minds around that paradigm and that story, even if there's stuff like, say, photos that are showing flat level land that are going against that story we were told of materialism and man being this, intelligent victor over the natural world, and using his man-made, rational science to formulate philosophy and formulate a theory of how everything in the world works based on man versus something else. So now we're seeing those that look, like flat land, and just wrapping it around that, that ball. That's why the paradigm is so important, and the stories that we tell ourselves beyond even the science is so key, because we just wrap our minds around those stories subconsciously.
Yeah, they're ingrained from birth.
You see it in the movies, you see it on the news, global community versus planar. It's in the classrooms with the little globe that's there in kindergarten, first grade. It's everywhere.
Wow.
Maybe that's an angle we should focus on, because, like I say, performing the acrobatics mentally to take yourself from flat plane to spherical geometry, and all the lies that we're pointing out you have to tell yourself to do so, and how cognitively painful that is when you do it, you'd think that most people would hear these words right now and go, might it be worth at least examining the idea of not bending flat into sphere so I can believe what I'm told by the powers that be? Let's just have a little look at that. Just a cursory glance. That's all it takes. You're fucked. But yeah, maybe a few people will do that and go, well, yeah, maybe I don't need to fight for this nonsense. What's it actually giving me? Unless you've got a shitload of skeletons in your closet, then that nihilistic outview is actually quite handy to deny all that crap that you might be guilty of.
Yeah, that's the thing, that just knowing is with this, something like this, is not just like, oh, it's a lie, it's a conspiracy, so on and so forth. You really have to do something about it, because there are some very, very serious consequences if this is a contained system. A, B, a creator. C, there's no other universes or anything like that. It's very, very consequential.
Yeah, and I've said this before, but I think if you are that type of person with lots of skeletons in your closet, a nihilistic outview is the best one. You know, you don't have to concern yourself with any of that. Whereas if you might be judged for it, you're going to concern yourself with it a great deal and, you know, brace against any sort of worldview that might lead to you being forced to you know, look at yourself in those ways when you might have subdued all of the horrible things you've done over your life. Again, I'm smiling. Don't get me wrong, I'm no angel, but by the same token, I know by the type of people we're dealing with that they're bastards. You know, if they're like that online when they've got anonymity, you know, that's normally a good look at the inside of someone and how they'll behave, what they're really like, because they can get away with it, right? So you just get to see what they're like, and they're bastards. And you think, yeah, I would probably imagine that you're generally like that, and that will lead to you being nasty in a way that you might not want to admit and subdue or not tell anyone. The skeletons in the closet. Well, you're not going to want to be able to. You're not going to be on a track that leads you to any possibility of there being a creator. No way. You're going to want to deny that and fight like hell. That's what we get, right?
And that's going to be most of the world population now. Just like, I want to do my own thing because it doesn't matter, because you've already been indoctrinated into the globe. So now for most of the world to reverse from that would be very difficult, I would say, for most.
I don't necessarily agree.
No, it will kill itself off.
I agree.
Time.
It requires too much mental acrobatics, and they've got to keep topping you up, drip feeding you to keep up that indoctrination. That's got to be consistent and concise and constant from them, always, and from birth. And that's if that in any way stopped, you might just realise it of your own volition. You might not even need telling. So no, I don't think it's like you're going to have to suddenly go around waking everybody up. If the brainwashing and programming in regards to this false religion of a sphere Earth stopped, I don't think it'd take very long at all.
So, but then are they going to just go to simulation then to just say, like, you know, as a sort of like saving, quote unquote, saving grace as we're here? Like, it's all random and
you've just jumped to
so who cares?
You've just jumped to the next appeal to authority. So, well, what will they say next? Well, I'm of the opinion that if you're going to relinquish a load of lies, just again, I can only speak for me. At that point, I go, no, that person's not useful to me anymore. They're just going to lie to me. So I'll try and distance myself from that person and take with a pinch of salt anything they do tell me. Whereas if you're the type of person that looks to the news for them to actually confirm that it's flat and they've just stopped telling you it's a sphere every day, well, then that person's going to be a bit lost. And, you know, there is no help for that person. They're going to be influenced by whatever next man with a seeming authority tells them. Well, you know, obviously there's a fair chunk of people like that. You know, they just want to be told what's what. And if they get told it's a simulation, or they get told it's a parallel universe, or they get told that we've actually travelled through time, you know, they're going to believe it if it's been punted in a way that they're used to having that information drip fed to them. So most likely the television set.
Yeah, that's really my fear, that as they prepare for this and as the globe falls apart, they're just going to, you know, they just have to use the same techniques as before with the mind control, the pre-programming and so on. Then they're just going to shuffle most people onto the next lie, as it were.
It's under the noses of a lot of people in a way that you know, you can only get a vague idea about. I'll give you an example. So searching through various handicrafts and other things that I watch on YouTube just to take my mind off whatever I'm doing, you know, sort of escapism. And one of the things I came across was a guy making a laminate table with bits of wood in it. And he said, based on what people had told me, they said it looks like the Earth with all these bits of wood with this blue laminate poured into it and then all shined up. So he says, I'm going to call it the flat Earth table. You think that's obviously reasonably in the front of his mind for him to label it that way, whereas rather than just calling it Earth table, it's very specifically the flat Earth table. In other words, this has reached the point where it's part of popular culture now. So the ones that are inquisitive will look into it. The ones that need to be told are going to be told it's bullshit. You know, there's probably a Wikipedia little entry right underneath me right now saying this that tells people what's what from an authoritarian source. And, that covers them, basically. The people who want to remain with a heliocentric worldview, they don't need to do much to the current existing network and cogs. Just a little bit of grease here, an extra cog there, and it just keeps on ticking over. But like I say, if there weren't the cogs there in the first place, I just don't think a deprogramming would be needed. You wouldn't have to suddenly go around convincing people. Watch a bit of Phuket Word. None of the people out there being brainwashed by, although they are now to a degree, but to a certain level, there's a certain type of person out there in Phuket that's just not exposed to it. And they just appreciate that the world they're living is flat, because that's what they're presented with. And they don't give it a second thought. Well, we have got a huge chunk of the Western world brainwashed with this stuff. So yeah, there's going to be it might be a generational thing. It might be only a single generation. So if the next generation wasn't being brainwashed with heliocentricity, they probably wouldn't give it a second thought and would just take in the general nature of the world that they're experiencing. But the people above them in the previous generations, well, 2 or 3 generations, they'll be dead, so who cares? But, if they ended up in a bit of cognitive strife, well, they know to blame, don't they? Certainly not us. So why would we need to tell them? That's why my attitude is like, well, I'm kind of not really here to convince anybody. I know what's what. I'm happy, and I really enjoy making YouTube videos and having debates about the subject because it's extremely interesting. And when you kind of want to be a YouTuber, you think I want to do something that's going to change the world, in those kind of grandiose terms. I'm oversimplifying things, but you know what I mean. That's kind of the attitude. What can I do that'll be big? And then you come across a subject like flat, and you're like, this has literally changed the world. You couldn't have a better subject. So wonderful, but is my absolute aim to convert people? No. I don't have a religion to convert them to. I appreciate the nature of the reality around me, but is that worthy of conversion? No, you're still in the same place. It's just all the shit that you watch on TV and at the cinema and in the paper and on billboards. That's all telling you that you're standing on a sphere. So when it comes to actually processing cognitively the world around you, you go through a few hoops, do a bit of mental gymnastics, and convince yourself of that through your own cognitive output. Well, you could just strip all that away and just ignore it, and you wouldn't be any worse for it. Quite the contrary. Be far cognitively better off.
Aren't you scared, Nathan?
Scared of what?
Of the Freemasons, of the powers that be. You're telling truth to power. That's a no-no.
As I say, the powers that be told me it was a sphere, and I just see them as liars and try and remove myself from them as much as I possibly can. Obviously, there's limits, but am I scared? Absolutely not. What's to be scared of?
I mean, you're uncovering the biggest conspiracy in the history of the world.
What? The fact that it's flat?
You're telling truth to power.
Yeah, the fact that it's flat's obvious and observable. That's my rhetoric. I'm not covering the Freemasons. What are you talking about? I've interviewed people about it because I found it interesting, maybe once or twice, but it's certainly not a key part of the show.
It's just obvious.
But I'm just saying, there's a grand conspiracy. There's like 50 space agencies. It would have to be a very grand conspiracy. It would have to be people in very high places with a lot of money and a lot of power.
I don't know. It seems to me that the reaction to people like us flat earthers seems like it portrays that you guys are the one that are more scared.
Exactly.
Because it's like almost like your little world paradigm is falling to pieces around you, and you have to stop that. I mean, that's why you're here, isn't it? To debate us, to try to prove to people that you live on a ball, right? That's your purpose. Because like I say all the time, if you were comfortable with that, you would just be comfortable with that.
Are you scared? Hold on, let's just turn it around on its head. Are you scared?
Of what?
Well, of anything. The Freemasons, any of the list you gave me, I don't know. I couldn't,
No, I'm not uncovering a world conspiracy, so I have no reason to be fearful.
Don't you think it would be stupid for them?
You're the one uncovering a world conspiracy by the people in power.
Yeah,
I mean, it's only logical that you would be scared.
What are those people going to do?
You're assuming there's a conspiracy. I'll just get to that in a minute. I'm just going to do a couple of quick shout outs. Shout out to Emma UK. Subscribe today to Emma. She's got some shows. Check her out. Tell £1.50. Is that right? To get on with this presentation? Okay. Thank you very much for the super chat. Mason B. The fundies have caught the black swan flu. Right on. And also a Cruel Vision ACV. I can't see what you've put, unfortunately. You're too low down on the list. But if I get another super chat, I'll see if I can read out what you've said. But thank you very much indeed for your support. All of you have smashed the super chat. We don't
So
divide
50 would be unorthodox. So unorthodox, you have a presentation for us?
Well, I wanted to present a journal article.
Okay, good. Can you post it in live stream and I'll get
I've got to send it to you somehow. You got to show it.
Yeah, no worries. If you put it in the live stream chat, one of the guys on the panel will hopefully present it on the screen and the audience can then see it. No rush.
In Discord?
Yes, please.
I'll try to get it pulled up once he drops it in.
Okay, just before Wally's doing that, just when he does his presentation, if you can just all hold off all comments till he's done and actually says he's finished. Let us know when you want to start Unorthodox.
I'm on mute.
Well, hold on, give me a second. Let me pull it up. But I mean, before we move on to this, it's only logical that you would be fearful if you're telling truth to power. You're going up against the most powerful, richest people in the world, and you're uncovering their conspiracy. I don't understand why you wouldn't.
But you're telling me there's a conspiracy.
That there is a
Hold
conspiracy?
on, you've got a contradiction. You're telling me there's a conspiracy, but simultaneously telling me that there isn't a conspiracy as far as you're concerned. But I should be scared.
According to your paradigm, your beliefs.
No.
Yes.
I'm not appealing to any motivation. I stop people from doing that on the show. I don't divine the motivation of the people who purvey this information to us. Now, if push came to shove, just to help you, because this is what you're angling for, if I was to, be put to task on the subject, I'd say there probably needs to be only a very small handful of people actually lying. The rest can be done via compartmentalisation. You don't need to tell everybody else what's going on. You just need to keep it in separate compartments. And then as long as the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, you only need a few people to actually know what's really true and what isn't. So, am I exposing those people as liars? Well, no, because I don't appeal to their motivation. Somebody who's making a little part to go on a ship that's apparently going up to the second law of thermodynamics sky vacuum, he doesn't think he's, lying to the general public. He's probably very proud of his work. And I've got no beef with that dude. Far from it. But when I describe the nature of my reality, I am not saying these Freemasons have lied to you about the nature of your reality. The nature of reality is a lie if you believe it's a sphere, but that's directed at you and your claims that you bring here. I'm not attacking Freemasons. I couldn't give a shit.
Can I say something about that compartmentalization? I knew a guy just recently I met that worked at Oak Ridge National Lab, and he was supposedly worked on a component that went on the lunar lander. And when I sat in and talked to him, he said he could not confirm whether whatever he did actually went where they said it would. Because he worked here in Oak Ridge. He actually said that. He admitted that to me when we were talking about the moon landing. So you're right, Nathan, and this is somebody that actually worked on something that was supposedly be for the lunar lander.
So I've got no beef with him. He's not got any beef with me. If I describe the nature of our reality, obviously and observably flat, no harm, no foul. I've got absolutely no fear whatsoever. Hope that answers your question.
I mean, I guess it does, but that's a little delusional because your ideas are uncovering a mass conspiracy.
You've just said it's not a conspiracy. So what you're worried about is that if it turns out to be lies, you would be concerned that suddenly there'd be a massive conspiracy that you'd need to concern yourself with. That's what you're saying. You're just projecting it onto me.
No, I mean, this isn't complicated. You guys are talking about the grandest conspiracy ever presented.
You keep telling us
on
to
the
just go around in circles. Shout out to a Cruel Vision ACV who did get a shout out before, but religion is the biggest cover up, not flat Earth, by the way. If you say so, but thank you very much for the super chat. Also, a massive shout out to James Richard, the guy and all ballers who deny the truth are are in on it as well. Maybe. In on it because they're punting the lie. They're shilling for the lie. But that's not necessarily intentional paid shillery. I know you're not saying paid shillery, but
can I give my...
Get on, Flatside. Go ahead. So they're not necessarily paid shills, but they're shilling nonetheless. If they're punting heliocentricity, they're shilling for heliocentricity. That's the bottom line. Hey, QE.
Can I try there, Nathan?
Yeah?
Yeah. So if it's in his mind, so he keeps saying conspiracy.
Yeah, we can. Hold on, just one sec, Ranty. Go ahead, Flatside. We lost you for a second there. you realise that we've got another guest who's waiting to do a presentation, everyone. Just so you know.
Right, okay. I just wanted to confirm, though, when he says that we're uncovering the greatest conspiracy, well, if it's... So if in our mind, right, it's the truth, okay? In his mind, it may be a conspiracy. So what's he asking? Are we to be scared that we're unveiling the truth? Well, if we were unveiling the truth, it's not a conspiracy. If we're unveiling the truth, it is no longer a conspiracy. And I think that's what Nathan's trying to get here, is that it can't be both. Your terminology of saying it's a conspiracy, the only way we get scared is if it's true, in which case it's no longer a conspiracy. We're unveiling the truth.
Conspiracy and truth are two totally different things, Ranty. You can conspire to cover up the truth. And that's what your claim is, that the powers that be are conspiring to cover up the truth.
Not necessarily. I said that you could easily compartmentalise it with only a handful of individuals knowing the actual truth, and everyone else just goes about their merry day. They're not conspiring to hide the truth from anybody. They're just, as described by Paul, they're just doing their business, making a piece of equipment, shipping it off to where it goes, and then getting on with the next bit of the work that they do. They go home and they tell everyone how proud they are, and that's it. They're not conspiring. They're not rubbing their hands together going, I convinced so many people that the Earth's a sphere. No.
Is this unorthodox that's talking right now?
Can I give my...
Yeah.
Go ahead, Flatside, while we can hear you.
Thanks. Sorry, I had to change Wi-Fi again. Okay, 50, if you think we're so scared, don't you think it'd be better in their interest not to actually get rid of their opponents? Because that will just show they... What can I say wrong?
Say that again?
If you say we'd be scared for our lives, as I'm getting to it, why do you think they would actually eliminate the opponent? Because that's just proving their point wrong, because then they're showing they're wrong.
To shut you up.
Yeah.
And they would cover it up. You die from some kind of heart attack or some kind of natural phenomenon.
So is this unorthodox talking?
Hold on. Let me just ask him a follow-up question. Just so you say to shut us up. So you're saying that if we were correct, we'd need shutting up.
Yes, if you're going up against the most powerful people in the world who control the world's militaries, the world's governments, you're up against killers.
Yeah. So they'd want to shut us up. That's all I needed. A yes. Yes, they'd need to shut you up. So given that we are literally censored on this platform and we're not showing in the search results for new people, would you not say that that's telling for your case?
No, they're not preventing you from streaming.
Sorry.
They're just not promoting it.
That's not what I said.
Two totally different things.
Sorry, that's not what I said. Did I say that?
That's all they have to do.
Sorry, I didn't say that. There's a fine balance, you see, in Orthodox. Obviously, like you've just had pointed out, if it's really overt and they just come round to our heads and our flats and chop our heads off, well, then that's going to be so telling that they're in the wrong. So you can't do too much, but you've got to do something. You say, if we're in the right, like shut us up. Now, while I'm not going to say, yeah, they've stopped us streaming, they have very much discussed publicly and published their concerns about what we say and how they're going to shut us up. But of course, you're now going to say, well, it's not this level of shutting up, though, even though by your standards that you've brought up, and I'm pointing out that that is happening, you're going to, now justify the level of shutting up that's currently going on. These are your concerns and not ours. I'll just say again what I said at the start. You're projecting your fears onto us.
I don't have any fears, Nathan.
You seem to be listing quite a few. I couldn't list them back to you, and I was like, well, what could you be scared of? I couldn't think of anything. Whereas you've got a whole bunch of things I should be scared of. The Freemasons, the conspiracy. I should be worried about death, them coming round, shutting me up. You've got a whole bunch of things you're worried about. I'm not worried about anything. I can't even think of things you should be worried about.
That's delusional, Nathan. You're uncovering the greatest conspiracy known to mankind. You should be concerned. Why aren't you concerned?
Is that what you're now? Which side of the fence are you on? An orthodox? You're not making any sense. Is this or is this not, according to you, the greatest conspiracy on earth, or nothing to see here? It can't be both.
I'm talking from your perspective.
You don't need to talk from my perspective, you arrogant little shit. Don't talk from my perspective. How dare you?
That's the whole thing, Nathan.
What, that you want to misrepresent what I do by projecting your fears onto me, telling me that it's from my perspective? Yeah, I know what projection is. Stop doing it.
Okay, so you don't think there's a world conspiracy that
I've said already, right? I've given you qualification for what my answer was already. When it comes to those topics coming up, I'll stop the conversation saying it is stupid to divine people's motivation. So, for all I know, while you're all worried about them coming and decapitating me, for all you know, the whole purpose of the sphere lie is for the greater good. And they can easily, if they were to tell you, well, we only lied because if we didn't, this disastrous thing might happen, and we're preventing that. We're really the good guys. You should really thank us for lying to you about being on a sphere, which is geometrically impossible. So thank us. So what should I fear, these people that are secretly out to protect us with this lie? Well, that could be a scenario, but I'm not full of fear. You are. But you're telling me, from my perspective, that you have not got, that I should be fearful of all the things you list and you're concerned with. Apparently on my behalf. No, because you're worried about them. But because you're worried about them and you don't want to be, you need to project them out onto me. To kind of help yourself not worry about them. Oh, well, fuck that. I'm not worried, mate. But I know for sure you are.
The point is you should be, Nathan.
And it's not just you. It's not just you. It's your entire narrative, because there are congressional meetings about talking about flat Earth and having to censor it, right? I mean, come on. What's the problem? If the Earth was a globe, it'd just be a globe. Flat Earthers running around shouldn't be a problem, right?
Well, I don't really think it is.
Just because
if you don't think it's you're double speaking. If you don't think it's a problem, why are you telling me that I should be concerned?
I'm taking the mindset of a flat earther who believes there's a grand conspiracy.
But you don't have the mindset of a flat earther.
But you're straw manning us again, just like when you use your flat Earth model and make nothing can work. You're straw manning us.
The problem with the globers is that yes, new flat Earth channels do pop up, but what happens is you get the people on the globe side, much like yourself, that jump on those channels immediately and batter them so hard with bullshit and threats and doxing that they end up running away and the channels get shut down. It's only people that stick around, like Nathan, like me, like Tony, like Globebusters, like Jaren, that stick around, and these are a thorn in your side. So now what you're doing is coming along and saying, well, you shouldn't be afraid. You're not afraid of us, but you need to now be afraid of is the militaries and the New World Order and etc., etc. Are you not frightened of them? No, we're not. That's why we're still sticking around. That's why we have channels. We are still doing this, regardless of whatever fear-mongering is going to come our way. We are still going to put the content out and get it out there. It doesn't matter. You're not going to shut us up.
I'm not trying to shut you up. I'm just asking why you're not afraid. And if you're brave, that's fine. But you got to admit that there is some danger level.
But also,
in doing what you're doing. If what you're doing is
like, why would they be in danger? The information's already out.
Yeah, the danger.
The question is,
real
what are you
danger is
afraid of,
big
50?
conspiracy
What are you
getting-
afraid of?
Yeah, that
getting
guy's got it.
revealed. And a way to do that is by people that actually hype on about that conspiracy by attacking them. It's called a martyr effect. So your concerns are lacking from are stemming from a lack of insight here, because that's not really how a cover-up works like that.
Yeah, beware. Half the population is
Okay,
going
well,
to
hey,
get
I
killed
posted
from
my
it.
thing
Gonna
in
happen
chat,
when
so can we look at
officially,
that?
for example, flat Earth would become illegal and there would literally be police raids. Yeah, guess what? Everybody in the world suddenly gonna have their eye on flat Earth. Like, why is that happening? How does that make sense? Were they forwarding in order to justify this action? What have flat earthers supposedly done? Guess what? There's gonna be millions of people suddenly making it their task to figure out the conspiracy about why that happened and gazing at flat earth information at the same time. It's going to explode. They do that.
The
So
only
that's why they
conspiracy,
don't. And we're not afraid of it.
the only
It's not
conspiracy,
that type
is
of
the
conspiracy.
Globers.
All right, all right.
Is
Let
somebody
Flat
gonna present
Switch
the paper
speak.
real
Let's
quick?
just give him a chance to respond. Go ahead, Unorthodox. Do you want to respond?
I was just curious. It's fine. We can move on. I was wanting to present this paper really quick. I posted it in chat,
Someone bring up
or just a quick
Unorthodox.
excerpt from it.
Sure. Is that what you've got presented, Paul?
Yeah, it's in the Discord chat. You have to scroll down to the two theories heading.
Editorial note on the Newtonian limit of Einstein's theory of gravitation.
Okay.
Yes. So scroll down to the two theories heading. It's not very far down.
Paul?
The only real fears I have
Don,
concerning
I've
this
just said, look, when he
conspiracy
presents,
is the hacking.
when he presents, just wait till he's done. It's going to be gaps while he does things. Okay, we're on to two theories. Go ahead.
It's loading. It's loading on my screen. Just a second. I've got to have it loaded on the live stream to read it.
Fine, you got a few minutes.
I have to read the first paragraph.
Will there be a second show
So I'm on
later on
push
your
to
other
talk.
channel, Nathan?
Yeah, there will be.
A second live show on Nathan Oakley channel.
Yes.
Can somebody
Be there
read
or be
the two theories, just like the first four sentences?
Is it not loading on your screen? Is that why you need someone to read it?
Yeah, it's not loading.
Who wants to volunteer?
Not me.
Somebody read it. Can somebody read it, please?
I can't because I'm cooking. So
Anybody at all?
I would, but my mic is awful.
Right. Two theories. People have often pointed out that the concepts behind general relativity and Newtonian physics are entirely different, and one has to understand not only formally how the Newtonian equations arise through a limiting process from the geometrical theory of Einstein, but also how the content of concepts translates from one to the other. Any more?
That's basically it.
Concept.
So I just wanted to present that. Do what? I just wanted to present that because there's always a lot of discussion about, well, did Einstein replace Newton? Blah 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 blah, and that's from a journal that on general relativity and gravitation that publishes monthly. It's been publishing for 25 plus years. That tells you that Newtonian equations arise from Einstein's theory. They're one and the same.
What?
Eisenstein was a
What do you
continuation of
read?
Newton.
I think
Hold on.
historically that should be the other way around, but sure.
Did you say?
Yeah.
Did you say
And you know,
Einstein and Newton
complete-
are the same? Is that what you said?
Einstein came and filled in the gaps. Newton is a special case of Einsteinian gravity.
So you think the two, one could
It comes
derive
from
from the
eliminating
other?
the
Hold on,
geometric
just let me
equations,
ask my
low speed,
question.
low-
So you think one can derive from the other? Mathematically?
Yes, that's exactly what it just said.
No, they can't.
Can I,
Hold on.
can I highlight
What?
something?
Jesus.
There's a paper on general relativity and gravitation.
So you think that things that are in totally different geometries can derive from one another mathematically? You're incorrect.
Citation.
No. It's your claim that they can. So I'd like you to show me. Don't talk through me. You're getting a pummeling. And I'm going to speak nice and slowly and calmly and clearly, and you're not going to talk through me. It is your positive claim that one can derive from the other. So you show me Euclidean going into pseudo-Riemannian 4 space. You show me that, mathematically. Not me cite it not doing it, you fucktard. You show me it doing it.
Okay.
Go. Now.
Okay, I can show you that.
Go.
Okay, you're going to have to present it. I'll post the link in the chat. Hold on.
You won't post the link. It can't be done. You're lying.
It can be done. Don't ask me to do something and then tell me I can't do it. I can do it, and I have it right here.
You're a liar.
Wow.
You're a liar.
This should be special.
I know he's lying. It can't be done. They're in completely different
If you know I'm lying, present
mathematics.
it and show the people the lie.
Okay. Let me ask this then. In your claim to be derivative mathematics, in the Euclidean, where in the Euclidean is space-time?
Euclidean geometry.
Yeah, where in Euclidean is space-time? Where is the time part? The fourth part of Einstein's mathematics. Where are they in Euclidean? Where are they? Are they there?
I can show them to you.
In
Can
Euclidean?
he name the fourth part?
In Euclidean.
Does he?
Yeah.
Does he know what frame theory is?
Let me show you.
He's just wrong. He's lying. He's lying. He's mistaken. He's wrong. But he's going to keep telling me he's right and he can do it. So if you posted it
Real quick.
I'm keeping
I'm
the live show open.
away real quick. I'll step away.
Just want to know, does he know what frame theory is?
He's got a couple of seconds to show us this derivative maths. This 4 space in Euclidean.
I'll post it in the Discord chat.
Okay, someone bring it up. I'll keep the live show a little bit longer. But he got it in live chat?
I have to step away. Just I don't know if you heard me.
Any chance you can bring up what's just been posted by him? It will not be space-time in Euclidean geometry. It will not be that.
I could try to get it and post it in Master B if you want.
Yeah, please. Or if
Again, do you know what frame theory is?
Are you asking an orthodox?
Yeah, if he knows what frame theory is.
To be honest, I don't want to get into a new conversation. I just want whatever he's presented that's claimed to be a derivative of non-Euclidean and Euclidean in being derivative of each other. I want to see that before I round out the live show. That's all I want to see. Then I'm rounding out the live show.
Okay, I just posted it.
Someone present it, please.
Where?
It's in live stream, Discord.
Radio check.
Hello.
I'm not.
Hey, Kiwi.
Thanks.
I mean, you would think the journal article from a 35-year-old peer-reviewed journal on general relativity and gravitation stating such would be enough.
Who cares? It isn't. You have to show the equations.
He's saying he can show them. No one's bringing them up. I need somebody to go into Discord and present them so I can show that they're not what he claims. And then I can round out the live show. Shout out to Retro Bill. Says, when ballers try to foul Siffy the Black Swan. I don't know what that means. Foul Siffy? Okay. The Black Swan. Owl hell breaks loose. Oh, it's full of puns. They know it's nest big thing. I'm going to try that one again now. I know it's full of puns. Ren ballers try to foul Siffy the Black Swan. Owl hell breaks loose. They know it's the nest big thing. My God, that was difficult, Retro Bill. Thank you very much for the super chat, though. Really appreciate your support. Right. Has anybody brought up what he presented? It looks like
I think so. Newton's gravity law.
I don't
see it in the live stream.
I'm sharing it on Nathan's show.
Okay.
It's called Newton's gravity law, right?
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Where are we looking for? What are we looking for?
Looking at the mathematics and how how Einstein.
You got to make it bigger.
Make it bigger.
Yeah.
All right.
So there you go.
Oh, there it is, right? What's this? What's 2GM? What's the G?
That's a big G.
Yeah, that's not part of Newton's equation.
Excuse me, an orthodox. Yeah, I've let you bring it up so we can absolutely pummel it, not so you can rumpus the rebuttal. So sit your ass down.
Yes. First of all, in your journal, there are not two theories. Isaac Newton never proposed a scientific theory in his life. That's number one. Number two, your little equation here, which one of the 10 field equations is this of Newton?
It's the one that's
I'm sorry,
on the
of
screen.
Einstein. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Einstein. You don't know because you're just a pretender clown. Let's just get to the big deal. How is this representing Newtonian's universal law of gravitation, please?
Well, it's about let's see how many steps it is. You're gonna have to walk through each step. It's approximately 11 steps.
I said that G. That G in the equation right there.
What?
Where'd that come from?
That's big G. You know where it comes from.
Yeah.
Cavendish.
I know where it comes from. You don't, because that's not Newtonian.
I just told you where it comes from. It comes from Cavendish.
So it's not
Newtonian.
Newtonian.
Doesn't come from Cavendish either.
It's not Newtonian. That's the point.
And it's not Cavendish either.
Newton's equation was F equals big G
negative
1 times n2
Wrong.
divided by r squared.
Wrong.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Right. So this is not. Hold on. This is not Euclidean into pseudo-Riemannian then.
This is taking Einstein's field theory and showing that it collapses into Newton's laws of motion.
Yeah, it collapses, all right.
Laws of gravity.
Implodes in on
Newton's law
itself.
of
Let's
gravity,
get back to
excuse
the
me.
G.
Not laws of motion.
Let's get clown show. That's what's new. You said Newton's equation was FG equals big G. That's not Newton's equation, son. And Cavendish didn't find big G either.
His paper was used to later find big G.
So this isn't it being shown then. This is just warranting discussion about where the G's come from, as opposed to it being cast iron proof that you can derive one from the other. So I think I'm happy to go to the after show that. If you're watching this on the Nathan Oakley channel, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show with lots of boring discussions about where this G came from. However, if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where I bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Also, a massive thank you to all of today's G Plus and Discord panels for making this live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you are watching on the Nathan Oakley channel. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!